Hey, what's up everybody? This is Jason from Atomic Martian Toy Reviews, and I recently got in the Gambit and Mr. Sinister Marvel Universe Greatest Battles comic pack. I want to go ahead and do a quick review of this for you so you can check it out. Now this comic comes with X-Men #1, a very classic comic that came out in the early 90s. I'm pretty sure I have like 4 or 5 of them over in my storage area with my other comics of the original issue. Here's a little bit closer look. Here's the figures in the package. Now, as you can tell from the outside, this is like the second version of Gambit. He has his hair combed over. It doesn't stick up like in a pseudo part. Like the original version of the Gambit, this is a little bit more of a modern version. And a pretty classic version of Mr. Sinister there. Now it says Marvel X-Force Archangel exclusive figure offer. I'm pretty sure that expired last year. I think that's what they were giving away last year with the comic book subscriptions. So I guess they need to update that. On the back here we have a few of the other figures in the wave. We got Thanos and Adam Warlock, which are really awesome figures. And then Bullseye and Daredevil here. And we also have another picture of X-Men #1 and a picture of the showdown between Mr. Sinister and Gambit. And then here is their little bio. If you want to pause it and read it, you're more than welcome to. Alright, let me get this out of the package and we'll check it out. Alright, let me just take a quick look at the comic here. Sometimes they like to fool you by putting a different cover on a different comic. And it looks like they did the same thing. This does not look like X-Men #1. So that's kind of disappointing. This does not look like Jim Lee art. But it actually looks like a pretty cool comic. It looks like sort of the origin of Gambit a little bit, and there's like Sabretooth and a bunch of other people hanging around. So I'm going to read this later, but this is definitely not X-Men #1, which is kind of disappointing. Now I'm going to look at each figure one at a time so you can get a good look at each one. This is Gambit first. Like I said, it does have the kind of second version of Gambit head sculpt. The first one, of course, he has the hair sticking out of the top a little bit more. But the uniform looks to be about the same. It's not a huge difference between uniform. His legs he has standard Marvel Universe articulation, bends at the knees. His legs do go up and down like that. They're a little stiff, so be careful. His waist does twist at the rib cage. His arms, of course, go up and down, bend at the elbow, and his wrists, well, they should spin. No, actually they do not. Neither wrist has any articulation. That is kind of surprising. I didn't expect that. His cape has very good detail. It's kind of flowing off to the side and gives the animated look to it. And his feet also do not have any articulation. So whereas this is mostly a new sculpt, I'm not seeing a lot of reused parts. He is lacking in some articulation that has become accustomed to Marvel Universe figures. But I don't think that the articulation that he's lacking is going to hinder his posability or standability. He also comes with a staff, which isn't completely comic accurate. It's a little strange looking. His other staff had bars going kind of all the way down the, like little lines going all the way down the staff. This one doesn't. But let's see here. You can fit it in one hand like that, which is a pretty traditional Gambit pose. Or in this hand, you can do it like this, kind of, almost like that. He does not come with any playing cards or anything like that. So even though his hand is kind of would give the indication that he can hold playing cards with his finger sticking out like that. But he doesn't have any. So if you have 3 3/4 inch scale playing cards, I would recommend maybe displaying with this figure. Here is Mr. Sinister, one of the big baddies of the early 90s. Now, of course, when X-Men kind of had a resurgence in the early 90s, I was in middle school and going into high school, so I was a huge X-Men fan. I loved them. And Mr. Sinister was one of the biggest, baddest villains at the time. I don't think he's as prominent now as he used to be, but he was very well liked in my household anyway. So here he is out of package. Now, of course, his cape is removable. It does have an extra layer of these kind of weird hanging things that he had on his cape. nothing else on his body is removable per se. This is more of a deluxe figure. Not as big as like the Hulk or Thanos or anything, but it's kind of in between, larger than other standard figures, but still kind of in between. His head sculpt is pretty nice, very, very white. He has a traditional red dot in the middle of his forehead, and a very, very pissed off, angry look on his face. This figure definitely represents the character very well, and definitely shows off how much of a big baddie he is. And of course he has the traditional Hand of Doom. I will destroy the world. Everything. So with some standard articulation and everything, this figure is very nice. I think it's going to look really cool posed and displayed in my X-Men collection. So here's both figures. Yeah, it's a shame Gambit doesn't have full articulation as it rests in his feet, but overall it's a very nice sculpt, and I appreciate the fact that Hasbro is making new sculpted Marvel Universe figures that are not using just the same kit bash that they've had been for a while. So there you go. I'd highly recommend picking them up if you can find them. Peace.